everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Michael Lynch, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 most anticipated games of 2024. If you like gaming content like this, make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, go down to the description, follow me on Twitter. You can also find out about our community Discord. We're always chatting about something in there, so make sure to go join that. If you really like this content and reviews and deep dives on all types of video games, make sure to go down below and support my Patreon or join my YouTube membership program. Anyways, that's the housekeeping. Let's get into it. My number 10 most anticipated game of 2024 is a little indie game called Star Wars Outlaws. Yes, the Ubisoft massive Star Wars game. Now, here's my thing. I want this game to be higher on this list. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan you're ever going to meet. But I do think the world is ripe with cool storytelling opportunities, and I'm dying to see new creatives get their hands on this famed material and do something cool with it. However, the reason this game is so low on my list is because I'm a little nervous. I'm a bit nervous we're going to end up falling into the Ubisoft open world trappings with this game. We saw it with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. We saw it with Far Cry 6. This style of game is just not it anymore. We're getting sick of the Black Flag style of Ubisoft game. It was cool. It was fun while it lasted. But after, 3 Far Cries in this style, 5 or 6 Assassin's Creeds, The Division, all of these games just playing very similarly, it's kind of over and time to move on. So I'm really hoping this game can break free of those trappings that this publisher seems so desperate on keeping, but I'm really not confident in it. However, I do think the idea of the game is really cool. It's about a bunch of outlaws. I mean, obviously, they're going on a quest to do the craziest heist ever in the Star Wars universe. And that sounds dope. That sounds really cool. Like, we get some Kessel Run vibes, we get some outlaw sort of bounty hunter vibes going on. I think that's sick, and I'm really excited to see a Star Wars story really explore a different side of the universe away from the Force and the Jedi, but I am a little bit nervous, which is why I can't put it higher than number 10. My number 9 most anticipated game of 2024 is a game called Visions of Mana. This game, I believe, was revealed at the Game Awards 2023, but I'm not sure, but I know it was shown off there, and I'm pretty sure it was announced there. Correct me if I'm wrong later, but I really love JRPGs. In my heart of hearts, it's probably my favorite genre of video game. I think JRPGs are the most overlooked genre of video game these days. I think people forget how cool, interesting, and unique JRPGs can be. I know it's a term that is frowned upon by a lot of RPG developers in Japan, and I get why. I think it's been used to criticize games in the past, unrightfully so. However, I think JRPGs should be lauded. I think it is a different style of game from what a lot of Western studios make, but I think it's cool for that. I think that's what makes JRPGs good, is the fact that it is different. So I'm really excited to see another Mana game. The music looked great, the art style looked great, the combat looked okay. I'm not the biggest fan of this style of combat, but we'll see how it shakes up. I'm willing to be proven wrong. It looked a little Tales-ish, which is okay with me. It's not my favorite, but we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see how this game shapes up. I don't have a ton to say because not a ton has been shown, but it's going to be out in 2024, and I'm not as worried about it as I am about Star Wars Outlaws. So that's why it's my number 9 on this list. Number 8 is surprising to me, but hey, man, it's my list, and I can't help it. Princess Peach Showtime looks f***ing sick. This game looks dope. First of all, I think it's really cool that Peach is getting her own game. After 35 years, we're finally letting a woman, lead one of these Mario spin-off games. I think that's really cool to see. I think it'll get a lot of young girls interested in the Switch. My girlfriend's really excited to play it, so I'm really excited that that's happening. I think representation in almost every form is good. I think the more voices we have, the more types of characters we have heading these games is just a good thing overall for all people. I think it looks really cool. I'm excited to dive into this when it comes out. I think this one's coming out soon, right? Let me look it up. Yeah, March 22nd, 2024. So yeah, this one's not too far away, and I'm excited to jump into it. All right, my number 7, I'm going to talk about this one for a little bit because I've been upset about all of the discourse I've seen surrounding Avowed. Let me start with this. The Outer Worlds released in 2019 and was looked at sort of as Obsidian's answer to Fallout. Now, Avowed got announced in 2021, I think, and is sort of being heralded as Obsidian's answer to the Elder Scrolls. Now, I think that's an unfair thing to put on a game that's supposed to launch a new IP. I think it's unfair to say, well, it's just the Elder Scrolls, but made by Obsidian. Obsidian is a team that is much smaller than Bethesda, and their games just aren't the same scope as Bethesda RPGs. And people have been on the Outer Worlds recently, like a lot of revisionist history saying the Outer Worlds is bad, you don't get to do anything in the Outer Worlds, blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that. And it makes me so mad. We do not deserve Obsidian. Obsidian is one of those studios like Remedy, like From Software, like Nintendo first party that we as gamers don't deserve. We're selfish, entitled, and we do not deserve studios this good making games. However, they are out there making games. So every time they release something, we should be thankful. Obsidian releases heater after heater, no matter what size the game, no matter what scale. The Outer Worlds, heater. Pillars of Eternity, heater. Grounded, heater. Pentiment, heater. You get it. It's just like all of these games are so unique, and whenever Obsidian drops, we really should, as a gaming community, sort of take a step back and pay attention to them, because they've earned that respect from us. Ever since Fallout New Vegas, we should respect this studio and hold them up there among the best doing it. I mean, the South Park games, there really is no end to how good Obsidian is, and I'm really excited for Avowed for that reason. They have a lot of smart people on their writing team writing a lot of cool stories, and I can't wait to see what they do with Avowed. However, the reason it's not higher on the list is because I'm not the biggest fantasy guy, especially sort of like the washed down fantasy of the Elder Scrolls stylings, you know, where it's a bit more, a bit less mature, I guess. The type of fantasy I get into is like The Witcher or like Game of Thrones, where it's like very dark and politically focused and charged, you know, and it's trying to say cool and weird things about the world. That's the kind of fantasy I usually get into. So for that reason, Avowed is not higher on this list, but I really think people should give this game more respect and more credit. I know people are mad about the graphics or whatever. Obsidian is a small team, guys. Just let them do their thing and judge it on its own terms, not what you want the game to be. Anyway, that's my little rant about Avowed. Avowed is number 7 on my list. All right, my number 6 is a game called Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2. It's an action RPG. It seems to be an action RPG set in modern day Seattle where you play as a little vampire dude. Now, here's the thing. I don't know a ton about this game, and I've never played the original, which is apparently more immersive sim-ish. If I could be totally mistaken, but I believe it's not an immersive sim, but it's got more immersive sim elements than this one seems to have. But it's heralded as one of the better RPGs of the early 2000s, and people have a lot of respect for that game. People have been dying for a sequel to it for years, so I'm happy they're getting what they want. And also, it just looks cool. It seems to have a really cool art style. The core gameplay that we've seen seems to be fun, and I'm always down to run around as a little vampire dude biting out of people's necks, you know? It just seems like a fun thing to do. Can't lie. Sometimes I just want to take a bite out of people's necks, you know? Is something so fucking wrong with that? Huh? But yeah, overall, this one looks pretty cool, and I'm interested to see a team tackle a vampire game that's not called Redfall. It will be fun. I've been waiting a long time for a vampire game. When they announced Blade at the Game Awards, I lost my fucking mind. I love vampires. Vampires are so sick, and I feel like they're underrepresented in video games. So I'm excited to see a cool little vampire game. All right, my number 5 is a game that is a sequel I have been waiting for a long time. It's a little game called Dragon's Dogma 2. So let me list off all the reasons why I'm excited for Dragon's Dogma 2. 1, ever since I was like 10 years old, I've loved the original Dragon's Dogma. To this day, I've never beat it, but I've played a lot of it. I remember I got very into Dark Souls, probably when I was 9 or 10. Probably around when Dark Souls 2 came out. And my cousin Spencer, who's a big Souls head, shout out Spencer, I know he's probably watching, he said, if you like Dark Souls, you should give a shot to this little game called Dragon's Dogma. And so I did. And it is weird, man. It is a weird game, and it's very dated. It is very much an Xbox 360 game, you know? It's one of those games where it's like kind of obtuse, the combat animations are kind of stiff, the world is very not spoon-fed to you. You're kind of just set loose. It has very old-school game design sensibilities, and that's what makes it really fun. I was a bit worried that the formula of Dragon's Dogma was going to get watered down a bit by modern game design tendencies, but I'm happy to say after looking at some preview coverage and, you know, trailers and stuff, it seems like they're sticking pretty true to the original's gameplay and world, and I think that's really cool. And you know, it's better late than never, especially now that Capcom's on their redemption arc. They've taken their time. They're only working on projects they really believe in. I think this game's going to be something really special. I really have a feeling that this game's going to come out and surprise a lot of people. And it's going to be sort of like a much smaller, more niche version of Elden Ring, where like your little micro communities on Twitter are going to be talking about it and, you know, tweeting about it and saying, oh, I just found this random thing. Oh, I just found this random thing. I don't think this game's nearly as approachable, but I do still think it's going to be that similar sort of thing of people just discovering secrets for months. And I think it's going to fly under a lot of people's radars and maybe throughout the year pick up some steam and maybe make it into those Game of the Year conversations at the end. So yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2, keep your eye out on on it. Comes out in March as well, I think. So yeah, it's coming up soon. I'm pretty stoked. My number 4 on this list is a big game called Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That is the soonest releasing one on this list. I think it comes out in 20 days, actually. I think it comes out the 26th. It is the sequel to Yakuza Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon Gaiden. It follows the stories of Ichiban Kasuga and Kiryu and their adventures in Hawaii. And man, whenever RGG drops, I'm there. So let me go over my history with the Yakuza games a little bit. So I've never played 0 through 6. I have not played 0, Kiwami, Kiwami 2, any of the mainline games. However, this year I started playing the reboot ones. So I played Yakuza Like a Dragon, I played Like a Dragon Ishin, and I played Like a Dragon Gaiden. However, I have not beat any of them. So over the course of the next couple weeks, I'm planning on making my way through all of them. I'm pretty deep into all 3 of them. So I think I'm just going to knock them all out back to back. In preparation for Infinite Wealth. I mean, these games are just really cool. They're just really awesome games. And the only reason I haven't finished any of them yet is just because of time. Like I started playing all of them during a lull and then didn't finish them before something big came out that I had to cover. So unfortunately, I haven't beaten any of them yet, but I'm really excited to get back, wrap up all my stories with those, and then head into Infinite Wealth so I can cover it for you guys. The Yakuza games are sort of like a hybrid of Persona meets GTA, and I'm so there for it. I am so there for it. It has the tone and quirks and character styles of something like Persona, but then it also has the little bit more real world influenced grit of something like GTA, and the satire really just hits in the same way that Rockstar's does. So I'm really excited to play this game, and this is the first one that's not set in Japan, I believe, so I think that'll be a lot of fun to do. I really like the character of Ichiban Kasuga. I really like the character of Kazuma Kiryu. And I'm just really excited to see how this game shakes up. I mean, the previews all look great. I'm so excited for the little farming mini game that is like the one they had in Ishin, apparently. They're going to have a little home designer, I believe. Just lots of stuff to do, lots of mini games to lose yourself in. I mean, these games are lauded and loved for a reason. And yeah, I just can't wait. You're going to notice a commonality between the top 4 games on my list and the fact they're all JRPGs. Now, this one, my number 3, pisses me off a little bit because it is also published by Sega, the studio that publishes Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but it's coming out 1 week after, and both of them are going to be 70-hour massive JRPGs. And I want to have a conversation with whoever runs release dates at Sega and just be like, what are you guys thinking? Like, what are you guys smoking? They dropped the most recent 2D Sonic game on the same day as Mario Wonder. Now they're dropping Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Persona 3 Reload, my number 3 game, right next to each other, within a week of each other. And both of them are massive, sprawling RPGs, and I just really don't get it. What the fuck are you doing over there, guys? Like I just don't have time. I'm not... The thing that's sad about this, right, and the reason I'm even talking about this is because I'm actually sad. I'm actually very bummed out because I would love nothing more than to be able to give Persona 3 Reload a bunch of time on this channel, and I would love for it to come out at a time where I will be able to talk about it and play it and share it, my love for this game with you guys. However, I'm just not going to be able to because it comes out a week after Infinite Wealth, which hopefully I'll be done with that by then, but it comes out the same day as Suicide Squad as well, which I'm going to have to cover because it's just going to get more views, right? So it's just very unfortunate that Persona 3 Reload is coming out so close to 2 other massive games. But nevertheless, I will give it its day on the channel when I get a chance to play it, but it just probably won't be until a few months after launch, which makes me sad. But let's talk about the good things. Persona 3 Reload is supposed to be a definitive version of Persona 3, the original one. Not FES and not portable. So there's no FemC and there is no The Answer, but it's just vanilla Persona 3, a much more modernized format and a much more palatable game. And I'm really excited for that, honestly. Persona 3 is the only one of the modern mainline Persona games I've not played. I played all the spin-offs for 4, 5. I've played all of them. And I even played 2 hours of 3 portable before they announced Reload. And I was like, well, I'm just going to wait for Reload. I can't wait for another Persona game. I'm very lucky that I've not experienced this story yet, so I get to experience it for the first time in this modern way. The art style looks sick. I mean, the Persona team just really outdoes themselves every time with this UI and the art. It just has such a distinct vibe and tone to it that really just sets you in a place. The music is awesome. Like Persona 3, I've listened to all the Persona soundtracks, and I think Persona 3 might have the best one. It's between 3 and 5, even though all of them are incredible. 3 and 5 just really have some special tracks on them. I'm interested to see where the story goes. I liked the hook I got when I played the first couple hours of Portable, and I'm really interested to get back to it in this new modernized format. So yeah, that's why Persona 3 is my number 3 game on the list. All right, speaking of Persona and the Persona team, my number 2 game is a big game called Metaphor Ref Fantasia. Who the fuck names these games? I just want to know. I just want to talk to you. Who titles these? Who named this? I just want to know. I just want to have a conversation one-on-one. I have not seen a name this ridiculous since Octopath Traveler was announced, but that made its way into pop culture. So maybe in a year or two from now, we'll just be calling it Metaphor, you know? Regardless, in spite of its horrendous name and impossible, I mean, like I just can't even get over it. It's so baffling. Regardless, it's okay. I'll make it through. After the release of Persona 5 Royal, Katsura Hishino, the director, and his team went on to make something else, and we've been hearing rumblings and leaks from Japanese sources of, oh, they're making a fantasy game. Oh, it's going to be inspired by the old Square Final Fantasy games, but it's going to have a weird twist, and it's going to have the calendar system of Persona and social links, but it's also going to be set in this weird fantasy world that's kind of modern day, kind of steampunk. We've heard a ton of just random rumors that all just seem to not make sense. That was until last year when Metaphor Ref Fantasia was finally announced and shown off to the world. And now we know that a lot of those things are true. It's sort of a steampunky fantasy game with heavy influences from Persona and Final Fantasy, which is just so up my alley. I can't even begin to describe it to you guys. Like, I can't think of a game. Like, if you asked me, seriously, I mean this, if you asked me to describe what game I want, like what is my dream video game, this would be one of the things I describe. A weird fantasy world made by the Persona team with Persona elements, but a lot of weird shit going on underneath. And it's just exactly that. And the UI looks awesome. The art looks awesome. The soundtrack sounds so good. I mean, it sounds like you brought the Square pixel art music back and just reorchestrated it and made it this big thing for the modern day. And man, I just love this team. I love everything they do. And I just truly cannot wait to get my hands on Metaphor Ref Fantasia. I mean, it just looks incredible. And it would be my number one if it wasn't for a little tiny indie game called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yes, my most anticipated game of 2024 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It is the second part of the Square modern Final Fantasy VII remakes. And oh boy, am I stoked. Ever since I played Intergrade earlier in March of 2023, I have been absolutely obsessed with the Final Fantasy VII story. I like how Intergrade just totally took what we expected and flipped it on its head with the whole Aerith thing and the whole thing with Barrett at the end of the game. I won't get deep into spoilers, but yeah, if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. And I just can't wait to see what twists and turns they put on this classic story. I mean, say what you will about Square storytelling, okay? And there's a lot of things you can say. In fact, I want to make a whole video on the Kingdom Hearts games and why they're the dumbest narrative ever put into video games. But put whatever criticisms you have of it aside, they really do know how to subvert expectation and make a player ask questions. I just hope that this team has gotten better at answering those questions. The questions they raised in Intergrade are really fascinating. And the sort of hints we've gotten of the answers they're going to give through the trailers in Rebirth, I mean, it just looks so perfect that I feel like it can only let me down. But I can't lie that it is my most anticipated game of 2024. I just need to get my hands on it and see where it's going. It's going to be a giant RPG. Oh man, I just can't wait. All of the gameplay looks so cool. You get to play as Sephiroth. Like, I really genuinely can't describe how excited I am for this game. Like, when this game comes out, you're going to be getting a lot of coverage from me on it. I'm going to be talking a lot. I'm probably going to write a whole fucking 40-minute essay on this video and yap away about it. But yeah, I really can't wait to get my hands on this game. And funny enough, 3 of my top 4 games, Persona 3 Reload, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, all come out in the next 2 months. So you're going to hear me talking about these games again very soon. So get ready for it. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this video, bookmark it, do whatever you need to do to get back here when these games come out. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's me. Those are my most anticipated games of 2024. Hopefully you like this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you know where to find me. I said so at the beginning of the video. Also, just check the links to the description. Anyway, that's me for today. Peace.